Hello, and welcome to Hey, I Loved That Movie, the podcast where we rewatch the films we loved when we were younger to see if they still hold up. I'm Dan,
I'm Michael.
And I'm Helena.
and for this episode we watched Catch Me If You Can. Yeah, I remember the music, but I don't know how to do the music.
Yeah, no, it's in there.
It sounds like that.
It does. So, Helena, you put this one forward. What's your history with this? Because I've seen this before a couple of times, but just sort of on TV, and I liked it, but I've never sat down specifically to watch it.
So, sort of same, except I've always wanted to see it all the way through.
Oh, so you
I've-
hadn't watched it?
Hey,
I'm pretty sure I've watched it all the way through, but I missed
Amazing.
the start because I did not remember the awesome animated
Oh yeah,
credits. That was really cool. I think it's one of those things where I've watched it from like 3 minutes in on like Channel or Film 4.
Yeah, I would have always
Yeah.
caught this from, I didn't remember the beginning bit where he's sort of working for his dad or anything like that. I always sort of would have caught it from the point where he's starting to do his little crimes.
his little crime.
His little itty bitty check frauds.
Yeah, his little
I-
$4 million worth of check fraud.
Yeah. I had never seen this film before.
Oh, really?
However, I distinctly so there was an old video rental store, independent video rental store down the road from where I live.
Not Buster.
No, yeah, we used to go there all the time, and it was great. And there were two films that I remember seeing the cover of constantly, and it was this film, Catch Me If You Can, and Being John Malkovich. And for some reason, those two film covers, video case covers, are just in my head.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
have the
know
same.
why.
I'm sure I saw Being John Malkovich in Blockbuster all the time, but I've never
Yeah.
seen that film.
Never seen it.
No.
But there are
Okay,
certain films.
that's quite a cool. Big John Malkovich's cover is pretty cool though.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the reason. But there's a handful of films that are locked in my memory because of that rental store, and the other one is Kung Pao because I used to get Kung Pao from there all the time.
It is.
I regret that decision.
No, it's worth it. You should own it on DVD like I do.
Oh god,
I think I still have it.
I
I
do
don't
somewhere
know.
actually. Not happy about it though. So yeah, I'd never seen this before. I'd heard about it, and it had always been one of those films that I was like, oh, I'll get around to watching it.
I
Being
had
John
no idea
Malkovich.
how massive name wise. I knew obviously Tom Hanks and DiCaprio.
Yeah.
But I didn't realise it was Spielberg and John Williams as well.
Yeah, and then a bunch of other faces, like Amy Adams was in it for a while.
Yeah.
Elizabeth
Yeah.
Banks, Julia Garner. I was like, oh shit,
Yeah.
they're all a couple of them only for one scene, but I was like, oh, it's them.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's a big name. It's a big name film.
Yeah, but yeah, I
Yeah.
forgot this was a Spielberg one as well. For some reason, I thought this was going to be like a Scorsese film,
I
but
thought it
Spielberg
was
makes more sense.
Yeah, I remember I got 20 minutes in, and I was like, this is a really, really well-made film. Who directed it? Oh, yeah. Which sounds really wanky. But it's Spielberg, that kind of makes sense. So this is a really,
Yeah,
really
that
well-put
up-and-coming
together
director, Steven Spielberg.
Look, we
Yeah.
do spend most of our
Yeah.
time discussing really shit kids' films, so it's
True.
nice to watch something and you're like, this is very competently made.
I was fully expecting it to be a director that had one amazing film and then vanished. I wasn't expecting it to be Spielberg.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it just sounds wanky being like, oh, this is so well made. Who made it? It's Steven Spielberg.
Well, at least you know you're right. You're
Yeah.
Yeah. It felt bad. I was like, oh.
Yeah, at least he didn't say that and have a look and you're like, oh, it's the guy that made The Hangover
Yeah.
and Joker. It's his
Yeah.
name, I don't know.
I mean, it is a year after Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah. So, yeah, this film is really well made.
Yeah, and it's also one of those biopics that's really quite close to reality. It's got some artistic flair in it, but the actual guy it's based on literally went through to help them make things more authentic.
Yeah.
I mean, there is
yeah.
a strong possibility that Frank Abagnale, and I say this with, a pinch of salt and not know much about it, was full of shit.
Oh yeah, no, he was, a massive con artist.
Yeah, he's literally a con artist.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like, how much of this happened?
Yeah, so we can trust him now. Now we can trust him.
I mean, I assume, the FBI chasing him down the whole time meant that he was actually out there doing shit, so...
It was far easier at that point to get away with this sort of shit. That was like the one thing I was thinking the whole time. I was like, this isn't, like, this would be impossible now.
Yeah.
It's just straight up impossible.
It's a really fun sort of, I think, that hasn't held up in a way. It doesn't feel like old hat because it's so very of its time.
Yeah.
And like they do tell, like I think because they explain it so well and the sets are so well, like it's really convincingly set in this time where, checks, and they show you how much power cashing checks has.
Yeah.
That it's not like aged. You're not sitting there thinking like, well, that's stupid. The government's stupid. It's like, well, that's how it used to be because, we didn't have the internet.
Yeah. And also like no one had done it as a scam that big to point out all the holes.
Yeah. And, checks got a lot more complicated and a lot better.
Because of this guy.
Because of him. Yeah, because of this guy.
Yeah. It's like anything. It's like,
other...
the people that are really good at breaking shit, it's like, cool, they're good at then like making things more secure. It's kind of like how, if there's accidents on aeroplanes, they're like, right, what caused that wasn't Boeing not paying people right? And then they'll, actually make it work. So
well, I was going to say, it's like paying professional hackers.
Yeah.
To try and break in, and then them telling you how they did it, so that you can you can patch that hole.
Yeah.
No, it's great. It's so weird that you could get away with this level of stuff back then.
Yeah, and the amount, the money, like because they use actual numbers as well, like that is quite funny in a way. Because obviously the buying power of like $1 was so much higher then.
Yeah.
So he is able to just sort of like getting his first like $300 check cash.
Yeah, like literally
such a huge enabler for him to then like get whatever else he needs.
And
there's nothing sus about paying with cash.
No, exactly. And yeah, like it's even odd how at the beginning he's like sort of worked out how to bounce checks, but then as it goes on, it's like, oh, this is how I can do it. And even a way that's going to take even longer for people to catch up on.
Yeah, just because he asks the right person.
Yeah, because he's, very flirty with the...
Yeah, this is where I think the artistic license and possibly the
100%.
Mr. Abagnale's influence on the film being accurate is like, oh yeah, and I was a total like
I was
stud.
Definitely played by Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, fucking is my way up and down the country.
Yeah.
But also like that doesn't make him look like a good manipulator. It doesn't make him look like a good, like he was good at what he was doing. It just was kind of like, oh yeah, he was handsome, so like every girl.
It's the charm, and it's weird how he like picks up this sort of charms and bribery stuff from his dad.
Yeah.
Which apparently that was a bit that also wasn't real. Like apparently his dad was one of the first people that he was basically scamming. Like,
nice.
Yeah, he just racked up loads of credit card debt for his dad.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Wow, what an actually bad... Unsurprisingly.
Yeah.
The con man guy wasn't a good guy. As he wanted to make himself look in the film.
Yeah.
So we should explain the story. Because this film is long.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's quite a long one.
The film is...
Although it didn't
It's over
drag.
2 hours, isn't it?
Yeah. It was long, but I didn't feel like it dragged.
So much shit happened as well.
Yeah.
Like, so much happens in this film. It's like, it spends way longer on him as like a teenager than I thought it would.
Yeah,
I mean, it's mostly about him
that.
from age 16 to 19, isn't it?
No, I mean like him like at home.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I like the setup is so much more than I thought it would be.
Some of my favourite scenes though do happen really early on, like him. So he's sent to he used to go to private school, and his dad's being investigated for tax fraud, and being charged with lots of tax fraud stuff, and so he has to stop going to private school and go to public school for the first time. and he just pretends to be the French substitute teacher.
Yeah, just straight into just trying to fuck over these people that bullied him straight away.
Yeah,
And it's just funny because there's obviously no point. But then they're like, yeah, he was planning a field trip to a Parisian to a bakery next week.
yeah. Like, assumedly, like his mum's French. Assumedly, he
Yeah.
speaks French.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he knows quite a lot.
Whether
of
Leonardo DiCaprio does is a different question.
French. I mean, there was one point slightly earlier on where I was like, did he hear what they wanted? Or so you know at the beginning where they're sort of dancing and his mum accidentally spills some wine on the on the rug. And the dad's like, go and get a towel. And he goes out and he comes back with a glass of milk. And I'm like,
yeah, I noticed that
"That's
as well.
That's not a towel, my guy.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Was that sort of you know how like if you spill red wine, you're supposed to put white wine on it? Did he
Yeah,
think,
milk.
well, this is
Milk is
even
just-
whiter?
Yeah, milk is this more intense white wine.
Yeah, he gets absolutely hammered on milk, you know.
I don't think he got distracted whilst he was in the room. Oh, milk.
The kid
Milk-
does like his milk.
Yeah.
The milk thing was weird throughout. Like when it was bought, it was just strange.
I think it's just sort of to remind you that he's itty bitty little Leonardo
He's actually
DiCaprio, which is
trying.
actually easy to do because, oh my goodness, adorable baby Leo.
Yeah.
Isn't he tiny? I mean, it's weird
Yeah.
now that he's a old creepy guy,
Yep.
but in this, oh, he's so cute.
Yeah, when he's like this, you can understand him dating girls that are the same age as him.
Mhm.
But
Oh, well, yeah, him dating the girls the same age of him this is fine. It's the fact that he's kept dating the girls that age.
yeah,
That's the problem.
exactly.
Yeah. This was before his cut-off limit.
Yeah,
He's really good in this.
he is. Yeah, like
He is really good at
him,
this.
and like Tom Hanks is really good in this too. Like
Yeah,
as
Tom Hanks is-
as Hanratty. Yeah,
Yeah, Tom Hanks is really. They're like everyone. I mean, it's a Spielberg film, so Spielberg films tend to have good actors because they want to work with Spielberg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he knows how to work with actors. And yeah, no, it's just great. It's just so yeah. Him as a child, he is a little bit awkward, but also very charismatic, and
Yeah.
knows how to trick people. And like he's essentially a genius at like finer detail.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's his entire thing. Like with the girl with the doctor's note.
Yeah.
Whilst he's waiting to get punished for how
Being
do
a
you
French
punish
teacher.
a kid for doing what he did? How do you punish? a
Well,
kid for
yeah, I think the
teaching as
school
well?
is like, we don't know what to do. It sort of and leaves it in the hands of the parents, and his dad is like laughing on the way out. They're both like trying to not crack up.
Yeah, because it's funny.
Because it's like the school has massively fucked up by letting that happen.
Yeah. How
Because
did-
just the
how-
only person that came in was the person who was actually meant to be the substitute teacher, and he's like, "Well, I'm here, so."
Yeah, but how?
And she's so
again,
upset.
She's so angry. She is so angry. How you wouldn't just would again? It's something you just wouldn't be able to get away with now.
No, no.
I like to think that, no, they try and keep track of teachers.
Yeah. On like I imagine in a school being like, oh, it's this substitute teacher's first day. I should probably at least walk past the door
Yeah.
and keep an eye on that class. Also, wait. So in America they go from like class to class, don't they?
yeah.
How many students was he teach? Because it wasn't just that one. Assumedly, that teacher had other French classes.
Yeah, probably.
How
It
many
was
kids
probably
was
just
he?
teaching French a few
teaching?
times.
But then, wouldn't he have other classes? Wouldn't he be?
Well, no,
truant on
she
that?
might be like she might be the year 11 or whatever. I don't know what sophomore.
They've got
Yeah.
weird names for it.
Teacher. So she only teaches those years.
Yeah.
But he. But-
French, or maybe like two school years of French.
But assumedly, he would have other classes during that French class of other people's French class.
Yeah.
I mean, if he can pretend to be a teacher that convincingly, I'm sure he'll have worked out a way to maybe forge a note to say that he's off sick.
Maybe, yeah, probably. Well, he did know how to forge sick notes, so
But yeah, the bit where he's like, you need to fold it because like otherwise it looks more real if you folded it because that's what you do. The first thing you do is fold it and put it in your pocket if your mum gave you a note.
Yeah.
yeah. I don't think any teacher's going to be like, well, it wasn't folded though.
Well,
don't
no,
think-
but it's about your confidence
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah,
And
No,
just
it's
the,
him,
the
but, like-
small details that you kind of overlook if it's there, I suppose. Like,
yeah, but I wouldn't notice if someone was like, here's a note, a sick note, and it's not folded. Be like, okay, You clearly just carried it. That's such a.
Yeah.
It feels like you
But if you've been why would you carry around a note all day and not crease it?
But I wouldn't notice that.
Maybe not.
And there's also like a load of different. Maybe you just put it in your bag and it didn't get creased. Maybe there's like a load of reasons.
Put it between a book, you know.
Yeah, which is what I normally do with bits of paper. Is I put them in like a laptop or a book. It just
Yeah, all
feels-
those kids had all those laptops with them that they were
They
carrying
had
around.
book. They definitely had books back then.
I think they had. I okay. You've convinced me. They had books.
Yeah, hopefully. Books aren't that recent of an invention.
Sorry,
are
books
they?
weren't actually invented till 1972, so
Wow.
it's crazy.
Wow. Yeah,
Um,
So he
so-
does that, and then
His parents split up, and he's like, they're like, you need to choose which parent you're going to live with, and he runs away instead.
yeah, his parents get divorced, and he takes it very personally.
Yeah, well, he knows his mum's cheating on his dad, which is really rough.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't seem to be pretty subtle about it, and she's just like, you won't tell anyone, will you? You won't tell him. Which
Yeah.
is, shitty mum. She like, the dad's obviously got himself into a huge mess as well.
Yeah, he runs away from home, and then just starts scamming people essentially. Like
Yeah.
Well, he has, the only thing he really has is his checkbook that his dad
he has a
Gave
checking
him.
account.
and a checking account, and that's it.
Yeah, so he's
And
trying
he-
to cash it in other banks, but they won't accept it.
Yeah, there's this big thing. It's like, well, we don't take checks from people we don't know.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of scammers out there.
Yeah. And he tries, or a lot of the first attempts are really, like he's trying to go for pity and,
Well, he
Like,
tried to do
ups.
the necklace trick,
yeah.
where he's like, "Oh, it must have fallen off your neck."
Makes me think, like, does he take that necklace, does his dad take that necklace back?
I know. I
Yeah.
feel like he has a load of them.
Yeah, they seem
Oh,
like just
but-
a really cheap jewellery kind of thing.
Yeah.
I really don't like the way this film. Like every woman in this film's a fucking idiot. Like
Yeah,
I hate
that is the problem
so
with this.
much. It's so irritating.
It is a bit much at times, isn't it? But they are also quite often young girls.
But it's like every woman that looks at him immediately swoons and are like, "Oh, amazing! I'll let you." Oh,
Well, he picks them out on purpose. Like, he wouldn't go up to the grouchy elderly bank teller who doesn't give two shits about
Honestly,
anything
I
and be like, "Hey, this slipped off your neck," and she'll be like, "Did it fuck?"
Love that scene. Love that scene. Where he's like, "Wow, did this?" And she's like, "Fuck no." Yes, give it here. Thank you. I'd love that. Much prefer that. But yeah, it just feels like every single woman he interacts with.
Yeah. Well, he's only interacting with women to scam them or fuck them.
But you'd think like there would be other women in the film.
Yeah, there is that.
Well, yeah,
And
there's
it is just like his fiance's mum, I think, is the and his mum are like the only women.
Yeah, that isn't just like an idiot.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating because it's just like I don't think women are like that, and I don't think they were back then. I think they were a lot more intelligent than is let on.
Well, I
in
think
that.
that's part of the con, isn't he? That he gets himself into positions of power to get that assumed
Yeah,
like good grace.
Yeah,
Like, people think-
that's why his first thing is like, oh, people respect airline pilots. If I get a
Yeah.
pilot suit and pretend to be a pilot, people will just look at me as an authority figure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pilots obviously travel, so it makes sense that they can't always go to their own bank and their own branch.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
of course, a pilot is exempt from these rules about this, like cashing checks from people they don't know.
yeah. So yeah, his first con is he becomes a co-pilot.
Yeah, sort of. He ends up on the plane sort of by accident, but yeah, he's essentially dressed as a pilot, going around cashing all these checks. And then when he goes into the airport, 'cause he realizes he could cash them at the airport,
Yeah,
they're like,
Well,
"Oh,
he-
are you the? Is
he
it
pre-
the dead drop?
Dead-
Dead end?
Deadhead.
Deadhead. Yeah.
Deadhead.
Yeah, so it's like they're essentially giving him a lift somewhere else because he then has to be on a flight to somewhere else, which means that over like that first time especially, he is massively fucked over some people's flights
yeah, 100%.
because they
Yes,
don't have
and
their
they-
pilot.
Yeah, no, he's ruined a lot of flights.
Yeah.
That's the thing that this film really misses out on. And I think when I was younger, I didn't care because I was a, narcissistic teenager or whatever. I don't know how old I was when I first watched this. I think probably more like 10 or 11.
Yeah.
Because I remember just thinking it was the coolest thing.
Like it
Yeah,
is.
but then you're thinking like it would have been, I think, a more balanced film would have shown more of the chaos and disruption and like lives ruined.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose after that sort of first time, he would just claim to be a deadhead and needed to transport when there wasn't actually something he was supposed to go to. And I suppose, like, apart from all the women he fools, most of the victims in this movie is banks, and that's fine.
Oh yeah, I don't have a problem with the banks, but it's
Yeah.
I think the ethical stuff gets a bit more ethically unsound when he becomes a pediatrician
Or a lawyer.
Oh, yeah.
and not a lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although the lawyer bit is very short lived.
Yeah.
There's no like he is a cool con man throughout the film. That's like all he is throughout the film, and it would have been nice to see. It would have been, yeah, no, you're right. It would have been absolutely incredible to see like the shit that is left behind. That
Like
everyone
the
else has
bank
to
teller
do.
losing a job.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
Um,
only really shows sort of Tom Hanks kind of losing his mind a bit when he's, especially that first time where he's literally in the room with him and just completely
Yeah.
falls for
it
his shit.
it really does fit. Now, like you sit and think about it that way, it really does feel like the actual guy making this film went, no, I was super cool, and every
Yeah.
woman I met.
My
immediately
parents
fell
were
in
in
with me.
love, and actually it was money that drove them apart, and not because my dad's fiscally irresponsible and a bit of a twat, and my mum's a, you know.
Yeah. And like I'm super cool, and like every woman fell in love with me and let me con them. And then the police officer that was after me, like the FBI agent that was after me, I was actually so smart I outsmarted him whilst he was in the room. And
Yeah, the other thing that never happened was he didn't phone him every Christmas because he was like, of course not. Why would I want the FBI to know where I am?
yeah,
Oh yeah.
but it has that vibe of
Yeah,
like
I ran
someone-
away from home because I just loved both my parents too much.
Yeah, it has that vibe of someone talking about how cool they are to you. You're like, okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's real. It's all stuff like that it's like,
Yeah, it's one of those films where he's an unreliable narrator,
yeah,
but you don't necessarily pick up
When
on
you-
that when you're
when
younger
you learned it.
because you sort of you're quite more than ready to buy into this story that he's telling.
yeah.
That
he's this
everything is
really
fantastic
cool-
and amazing, and he's got it all under control, and
Yeah.
he just
there
sort of
probably were
slides in.
moments where he slipped up and completely fucked it and was like, oh, I have to leave, and,
And yeah, when he gets caught, he always gets out in like the nick of time.
Yeah, and in like a suave way.
Yeah.
It is. I don't know. So yeah, as a pilot, he's essentially just cashing checks. Like,
So
but
because he's realised that
forging-
if he sends the checks to be cashed by changing like the number at the bottom,
yeah,
he gets the cash, and then that check gets sent to the other side of the country to be verified, which obviously takes a bit of time.
yeah.
So
there's,
he has
like,
even
2 weeks.
it's 2 weeks before they've even realised that that he's withdrawn money from an account that doesn't exist,
Yeah,
or an
And all
account that
because,
isn't
like-
real, or isn't like his.
yeah.
well, because like when he tried to cash one check, the bank teller immediately fell in love with him and was like, "I will tell you how the banking system works."
This is how these numbers work, and this is how you can use it to your advantage.
Yeah, and then
Well, he
but
does
then
that. He does that a few times as well. By like, it's not always sweet talking. It is a lot of the time sweet talking, but he also like proposes as a kid wanting to learn all about pilots for a school report, and that's how he
Yeah.
finds out loads of basic information about the pilot, like what
Again.
it actually like the on the ground stuff you need to pass.
should have flirted with the pilot. Yeah,
And,
it's
he does that a few times as well. Because I swear he goes back, and this is after he's already been doing it for a while. And they're like, "Oh, kid, I'm sorry, I don't want to answer any more questions. This guy's doing my head in," and it's like the deadhead. It's like the news that this guy's been of like what he's been doing, and he sees himself in
Jumping
the
on.
newspaper.
Yeah, and it's like everything but Pan Am flights, so it's got nothing to do with them. Yeah, no, it's the pilot. Yeah, This is kind of now I'm thinking about this film, I like it less
Hmm.
because it's now just more frustrating and annoying. But yeah,
Well,
so
I
he
think
goes.
that's sort of that's why you can tell the film is really directed, really well directed, and really well made. Is that despite all these grievances that you can quite quickly draw about it, it's still a really engaging and fun film to watch.
Yeah. No, it's
Like,
it's
it is an
annoying.
absurd situation. It starts off absurd, and it only gets more absurd by the end.
Yeah, and throughout like all of his trips around the world and all that stuff, Tom Hanks as an FBI agent is in like bank
Check fraud, yeah, and
debt
financial
fraud
crimes.
is searching for him and is like obsessed is obsessed and hunting him down. And yeah, it's
What I had totally forgotten when I rewatched this was how much of the flash forwards we get.
Yeah, I
Yes.
forgot
Where
about that too.
he's journey back from, we first see him, he's in like a really rancid prison,
yeah.
and he's being extradited back to the US by Tom Hanks.
It looks like I think he's been in there for about a year. In
Yeah,
that
his
prison.
hair's really long, he's got a huge beard, which,
Hmm.
you know, is impressive for a 19-year-old, but and he's a bit older than that at this point, I think, because he said it'd been years that he'd been trying to get him
Yeah.
extradited and get that arranged.
Yeah, he'd have
and
been
he's-
22, 23, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like really sick, and then yeah, it's like there's loads of scenes where it's like, oh, they're getting the waiting in this hotel, getting the flight back, and it's so you
Yeah.
know he does get caught, which I thought was a really weird kind of way of giving away the ending, but it works because
Well, it's based on a true story of a guy that
Yeah.
got caught.
Yeah, and it's then
Yeah.
intriguing to be
Yeah.
like, oh, so how do we
Yeah.
get to this point?
At what
Like,
point?
Yeah.
what happens. So his check frauding gets more and more like
Elaborate.
elaborate.
Yeah, I do like how to make the checks from the airline, he's like using toys of planes that have the stickers on and like warming it up so he
Yes.
can take the sticker off in the bath and like really precise about faking these checks because he knows what he's looking for, I guess. Like he gets the
Yeah.
machine to actually write them or those kind of things.
Yeah, he buys.
Yeah, he goes to
the-
an auction and buys an old bank, which should be like sus.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
Um,
They shouldn't be selling those things.
No.
I don't think they do. They can't.
Next up in this auction is this money printing machine.
Next up is a mint.
Well, I guess it was back then. Things were used for lots of things were used for more than one thing. So this was
Yeah.
essentially a fancy typewriter.
Yeah.
A fancy, typewriter and printer.
So
It just feels like that should be checked. Who's buying it? Again, it would be now.
but again, it would be cash. So if you don't leave the right name and you say, "Oh, I've bought this and I'm paying in cash,"
Yeah,
what are they going to do? A background check?
like 100% now it would. You
Oh,
wouldn't
yeah,
be able to
yeah.
buy anything like that without. Do you commit fraud? Are you going to commit fraud?
Are you going to commit fraud? No. Okay, here you go.
We won't stop
Well, that's
you,
like
but you
those
have to tell us.
bloody visa application things where you have to say like, "No, I do not know anything about nuclear bombs, and I am not a terrorist."
Are you planning on exploding this plane? No. Cool,
I'd be
you're
a
good
pretty
to go.
fucking terrible terrorist if I
Yes, we
told you
got
now
them.
at the visa application stage.
Oh,
Yes,
you got
damn,
me.
you got me. Nah. Blast.
Oh, it
Well,
was all
not
going
blast.
so well, but I had to tell the truth on this form.
Yeah. As you know, you can't lie on forms.
No,
You physically can't lie on forms.
it knows.
Yeah, the form knows.
The form writes it in red if you're lying.
Yeah. it cuts you.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, so he gets caught. He gets like hunted down, and they end up in this hotel. Tom Hanks as the FBI agent bursts in the door, and like clearly has never shot a gun before, and is kind of terrified.
Yeah.
Yeah, because his financial crimes is a lot of just investigating and following up leads. It's not a lot of field work.
Yeah, he'd never been in the field before.
I imagine he didn't
Um,
know if this person was going to be dangerous or.
Yeah, and Leah comes out and is pretending to be a CIA agent,
Hmm.
and is like, they found this and they did that and blah blah. And
Yeah, he goes into the bathroom. He's clearly like hastily putting on his suit.
yeah,
But he uses the charm. And he's like, "You're too late. Oh, here's my." He's like, "Do you have some idea?" And it's like, "I'll take my whole wallet."
yeah. Didn't
then-
open the wallet.
I did like how he's like, "Oh, well, we're just taking him in," and it's this really obviously blind guy that's been guided into his car.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. It's a really shit FBI agent, is all I've got to
Mm.
say. Also, wouldn't it have just been quicker to be like, I'm housekeeping? I'll get out of your way.
I suppose he
There
wanted
was-
to take his stuff because he's like, oh, I just need to secure this evidence. I'm just going to take it down to the car. And-
And he's like,
true.
yeah, can you just make sure that housekeeping don't come in? And he's
Yeah.
like, I'll
Yeah,
keep hold
true.
of my wallet.
Yeah, I do like Tom Hanks is great in that scene where he's sitting on the bed and he's happy because he's like, yeah, I've got him. And then that slow realization of, oh,
Yeah.
fuck.
Looking
Like,
because Frank has this weird habit of peeling everything off of everything.
yeah, like
And
like
use
labels
it to,
off
stuff
drinks
his
and things like that.
to use it to stuff his wallet to make his wallet nice and fat and padded.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a nice decoy one.
He gets
And
away.
he
in
does get
a very
away.
irritating way.
Yeah, you'd think they could just put out like an APB and be like, we're looking for a guy, like a really young kid
Well-
in a suit carrying a massive fuck off typewriter
To
and
me,
running.
yeah. Yes, 100%. He doesn't have a car. To be fair, they don't know doesn't have a car, and also the description of him is every other guy.
Yeah, well, yeah, so I was saying, yeah, he's like, well, I've seen him now. That's great. And they're like, you said he's what a 5 foot, what was it, 5'5" to 5'8"
yeah, between
brown
20
haired
and
man
30.
between 20 and 30.
Yeah.
like that's nothing.
Yeah, that's most men. What? What? Yeah.
But I did like the way that he does do some. It's kind of silly, film detective work, but the detective side of it, detective work side of it, is quite fun. Where
Yeah.
he's like, he's looking for the listings of these guys called Barry Allen.
Yeah.
And then the server at his the cafe he's in is like, oh, like
Oh,
Flash,
yeah. Oh, you're a
and he's
fan of
like,
the
what?
Huh?
And then he realizes, oh shit, this is why we haven't been able to find his prints or anything. Like, this isn't. This is a kid. They've literally
Yeah.
not been in the system.
Yeah, they
Thinking-
go to the house that his mum's living in now, and she's like, because they've managed to track down. I can't remember how they get
and
the
I'm
exact
sure it was
name.
cut, but I wish they got to interview more of the parents who's had missing children who were not criminals.
yeah.
That would have been. I feel like that could have been some good comic relief.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, there was a good bit of comic relief here where they see they're looking through the yearbook and they're like, "Yep, that's definitely him." And the mum's like, "Oh, he's been doing fraudulent checks. How much was it? I'll pay you back." And Tom Hanks is like, "So far, it's about $1.3 million." Just leaves, and she's
Yeah.
just like, "Ah."
Huh.
Like at this point, he's been traveling around the US, like just cashing so many checks. But they finally know that okay, this is the guy they're looking for.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
can make a lot because he can cash checks for about 2 weeks before he needs to move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then he sort of he knows they're onto him, so he changes names and he goes. He's in a hospital and he sees Amy Adams, who is Brenda, being like yelled at, and then starts flirting with her. And then he's a doctor,
The hospital is the
Dr.
funniest
Connors,
thing.
the lizard.
hospital- The hospital is the funniest section because could you imagine someone walking into a hospital with a stressed out nurse going, "Hey,
Yeah.
fuck off! What do you want?"
Hey, I'm a doctor. Can you get me a job?
No, fuck off.
No.
I'm
then
busy.
he manages to get the job, and as he's about to fuck
Just
her, he
love
gets
it.
called in, and this was fucking
But-
disgusting. To be fair, like
But could
Not
you,
that bad.
no, but I like the kid that had fallen off the bike and like the bone was sticking out of his leg,
Yeah,
and I was
that
like,
was pretty
oh, that is
disgusting.
no, I don't like really realistic gore like that. That is, I'm fine with it
Yeah.
over the top, but when it's
It
that
just-
kind of real, I'm just like, ugh.
I don't think.
So
a
he
doc-
gets. He's basically he's the on-call supervisor doctor.
Yeah,
So he's
which-
got actual doctors doing all the work.
Fucking. By the way, when he gets that job and he's just like, "Can I have a job?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure."
And he
Yeah.
just fakes a doctorate from Harvard.
Yeah, fucking.
And they don't do it.
stupid.
They don't make any
Don't
calls
do
or anything
any
like
check
that.
with it because, like, as you know, they wouldn't know anyone at Harvard. Like, the doctors work on knowing each other. The idea that what the doctor in charge says, which is just like, "Oh, we have to babysit some interns and some nurses." Those nurses would rip out your teeth for saying that.
Yeah.
And also, he's so smarmy when he's like, well, previous hospitals have always been able to pick my own nurses.
Yeah. Like, I don't think at a hospital, but even back then, was that chill.
No,
of a
definitely not.
place to be.
Well,
Like,
they sort of imply that it's good luck, obviously, but they imply that it's a job that no one wants because it's not really proper doctoring. But obviously, for a fake doctor,
it's perfect.
that's ideal,
Could you imagine?
and it's low
him-
pay for like what he's qualified for,
Yeah, which is fuck all.
and it's nights.
Yeah. Could you imagine him being like the FBI agent catching up to him in the hospital, and he's like 8 coffees in by like 9 in the morning? He's like, "Look, I pretending to be a doctor, and honestly, I'm so fucking stressed."
He just
I am-
Henry bursts in with his gun and opens, and Leonardo DiCaprio is just like elbow deep in someone's guts, like. "Ah!"
It's like 7 in the morning. He's surrounded by coffee and energy drinks, and he's like, "What do you want? The fuck do you want? Get out of my office!" This is so fucking. I came here for an easy. It's so fucking stressful. He's just like shouting down the phone at someone.
He's like screaming at this incompetent. There's this intern, and he's like, "Where the fuck did you go to medical school? You're fucking useless." Like, giving them a really hard time.
It's just like really stressed, like just horrible, having a horrible time. And it's like, "Look, this one was a mistake." And now I'm locked in. I can't leave. The hospital is really understaffed as is.
I mean,
Oh,
Unless
yeah,
you wanna
he's
put on a
getting that
white-
NHS guilt.
He's just like smoking 6 cigarettes at once. Like he puts one down in like the ashtray, picks up another a different one from a different ashtray. So what do you want?
this
That
this
would've
is
been-
the
yeah, that would've
timeline
been
that
funny.
leads to Shutter Island.
Yeah. that's all I could think about was like he'd be so fucking stressed working at a hospital. A night at the ER, like
Yeah.
Well,
There are
it's,
so
it's,
many
it's an
drugs.
emergency nights at a children's in a children's department emergency room, and I guess
Yeah.
the implication is that most children are asleep and in bed, so there aren't that many accidents. Plus,
Yeah,
he's got was it 20 doctors?
yeah, but like the overflow from normal ER, just like we have to deal with so fucking much. That's all I wanted. I just wanted him to be like realize how stressful being a doctor was. Downing coffee at like heart attack rate.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but at the same time, he's basically just walked into a like managerial
Yeah, no, it's great.
post.
I just
like-
imagine him dealing with like the NHS,
Oh god, the paperwork.
the paperwork.
To be
to
fair, he'd
scan.
probably excel at the paper. He'd just fake it all.
Yeah, but he'd get so bored of it. He'd be like, look, my whole thing is paperwork, and even I'm.
Imagine if
struggling.
someone gave him some fake references. And he'd be like, I know these are fake, but I don't want you to know that I know these are fake.
Oh man, that's what I want. That's the film I want. I want a con man to accidentally con himself into a really bad job that he can't get out of.
Like
But
being
he
an
does.
astronaut.
He meets.
Yeah, he managed to get out because he kind of, I
a
guess,
nurse.
falls for Brenda,
Yeah.
and he's having
Which
to stay
feels-
in one place.
Creepy. It
Yeah.
feels creepy, and it's weird that no one's like, "You're like 12. Why? How are you a doctor?"
Yeah, it's because he's like pretending to be, I think, like 28 at that point,
Yeah.
Still-
but he's like
Mm.
18 at most.
Yeah. Again, that's real creepy with Brenda. Then
Yeah, yeah. And
Poor
then
old
she's
Brenda
kind
has
of
a real shit time of
yeah.
it.
She has
She
been such a
she
hard
can't
time.
go
And-
home because by the sounds of it, her dad's friend raped her and she had to get an abortion.
yeah, that's kind of what it
Um,
feels like.
And then
Heavily
the dad's like,
implied.
"Well, you got an abortion, so you can't come home." And so
Yeah, because he's
Frank-
Lutheran.
yeah,
Because
I
he
don't-
believes in Luther.
I don't think it's no. I think like it's her dad's friend who gives her who performs the abortion.
I don't. I took
That
it as it was her dad's friend, and then she had to get an abortion. I don't know.
no.
Yeah.
So her dad. She got pregnant. Her dad knew someone who would because abortions were illegal, so you couldn't ask a doctor. So it was a friend of her father's,
Yeah.
which is just a lovely shining example of religious hypocrisy.
Yep.
Performs the abortion, but then she's saying like as soon as I was well, like they wanted nothing to do with me.
Yeah. Kicks her out.
Yeah, she was gone.
So he's like, "Well, if you were engaged to a doctor, then they'd probably accept you back."
Yeah,
So
we.
And they do.
yeah, they do. And meanwhile, Tom Hanks has gone to his dad's place and seen a letter from him to the dad, so he knows where
Yeah.
he's been staying.
Yeah.
Have we done the talked about the bit where he sleeps with maybe a prostitute?
Oh, Julia Garner. No, that's a little bit.
Yeah.
That's a little bit back. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
That-
he.
That bit was
scene.
weird.
Yeah, he gives her a check. He's only got a check for 1,400, so she gives him 400 back. Fucks
Yeah.
her, and then leaves. And now she's got a check that she can't cash. So
It kind of
Well, she
feels...
can cash. It's just she might get caught
yeah,
because she'll be
It
using her
ki-
real name.
It kind of felt like she was going to be like an FBI agent.
Oh, a little honey trap kind of
It-
thing.
How do the... Because she was asking him about... Like, she was fine with it, and then she was suddenly like, and get money. And it was like, oh, it had the vibe that she was trying to...
yeah.
Like, even... Like, it would have been alright if she was a CIA agent.
But instead, it's just he sleeps. With
It's
this,
just a woman that fell in love with him.
Yeah.
And another
Well,
one...
no,
a
she just
double.
wants a good time. She recognizes that he's loaded
Yeah.
because he's at that point he's trying to be Bond.
Yes, because
He
someone
gets
says...
like the exact same suit from which James Bond film is it?
I don't know, but it's a Sean Connery one because this is set in
Yeah.
like mid 60s, and he
Like,
gets the
yeah.
Aston Martin as well, which
Yeah,
he has for like
bec-
one scene.
Because someone's like, he's just like Bond, and he does the whole...
They're calling him the James Bond of the sky because that's when he's
Oh, yeah.
being a pilot, yeah. And he just like it goes straight to his head.
Because he has none of his own personality,
No.
is what we learn.
Yeah, and obviously he's not got his father figure anymore to
Yeah.
imitate.
But yeah, it's just that scene with the woman and the check felt strange. It felt really out of place.
Yeah, I think it felt like that was his little foray into being the Bond character.
Yeah.
And
felt
it
weird.
doesn't really land the same as the other ones do.
No.
Um,
Again, she should have been a CIA agent.
yeah,
It was like on his trail.
it's creepy when he's like 1,000 and she's like, yeah, I'll fuck you for $1,000.
Yeah.
And then when she's like, oh, well, I'll give you 400 and you can. He was actually going to go and cash the check.
Yeah.
Um,
and she's like, they won't have that much money in the hotel to give
like
to you.
they'll be suspicious.
Yeah.
And he's like, these are like gold. These checks are like gold. I think it's a useful scene because it really
It does-
emphasizes how good how much his checks are worth and how trusted the checks that he has, these
Yeah.
airline pilot checks he has are
Mm.
worth.
And how like well he knows the system. But yeah, that scene just felt... I just wanted to talk about it because that scene
Yeah,
felt weird.
it's a bit grimy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he meets... Back to where we were. He meets Brenda's parents.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Because
the
she-
president from West Wing, isn't it?
Martin
I think
Sheen.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I know,
because-
maybe he's famous for some other stuff. but
Uncle
that's
Ben
how it
from
always-
the fourth Spider-Man movie.
Oh, yeah.
But like, so his plan is like, well, what if I call your parents and ask for your hand in marriage, and that they'll have to like you then.
And then
You're
that ends
marrying
up
a doctor.
spiraling to, oh, he's a doctor, but he's also dabbled in law and he wants to be a lawyer. And the dad is a lawyer, so he can pass the bar exam and work with the dad as a lawyer.
Yeah.
And then I like how it then cuts to the future bit, and Tom Hanks is just like, "How
Yeah.
did you cheat the bar exam?" And he's like,
How
"I'm not.
you- yeah.
I'm not telling you."
Yeah, I like to think that he was really stressed as a doctor, and he was like, you know what's less stressful?
Law.
Well, yeah, he
Prosecutor.
probably saw a law, like at one of those legal dramas, and thought, "Yeah, that looks fun."
Yeah, I mean
can do
that's
that
how
instead.
that's how he was learning a lot of the things, was he was watching these TV shows and movies about doctors
Yeah.
and shit, so he
Yeah.
could just
He-
get the
Obviously-
jargon.
He'd
And
get
that
a
bites
job.
him in the arse when he has his first, like, what was it, like an appeal or something that he was delivering to a judge and no witness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So he gets the job. He proposes to Brenda, and
He settled down
Yeah.
in one place, so they know that he's still going to be using the same name as before.
yeah,
and they
'cause
know
he's
there's a
still
girl
having his-
involved.
Yes,
So he's like,
yeah.
well, he can't
Yeah.
change his name now. He's stuck with Frank Connors.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's still having his yearly phone calls.
And so they search for because during that thing, he's like, "Look, I'm settling down. I'm not conning anyone. I've got a real job. Can there be a truce?" And Tom Hanks is like, "No, you've stolen almost $4 million.
Yeah.
Of course
He's
not."
like,
This only ends with you going to jail. And
Yeah.
he's like,
Yeah.
oh, what?
So yeah,
That's
when
not
he
how
because
crime
during
works.
that phone call he says about like there's a girl involved. So then they search for the engagement announcements for a Dr. Connors.
Yeah, and like an idiot, they find him.
Yes. And he's just like panicking, and he's like, right, I've got 2 suitcases full of cash. Hey Brenda, meet me here in 2 days. I'll tell you the truth. Meet me
I
at
feel so
Miami.
sorry for Brenda.
Yeah, at this point, like her whole like it's literally their engagement party.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, he's fucked her over
Yeah.
massively.
yeah, and again, she's an idiot. Like
Yeah.
she's she's, and that's not being mean. Like that's her character. Her character
Yeah.
is a
Gullible.
lampshade in
Yeah.
a dress that falls in love with him.
yeah,
And it's so frustrating because it past this point where like Tom Hanks bursts in, he's gone, and Tom Hanks turns around and Brenda's there, terrified with money in her hands.
Hmm.
We never really learn about her anymore. She's kind of just forgotten about.
Yeah,
No,
and I think
she's
that
in-
happens with every victim of his,
Yeah.
isn't it? That he moves
She's-
on straight away.
she's briefly in the next scene because he is
But
gone in a car to meet her at Miami Airport,
But
and then
she's
he
like-
sees that she's standing there, and like a guy
Yeah,
just stops briefly to talk to her, and it's like, of course they've asked her to spy on him, and
Well,
Yeah.
no,
like,
it's a
catch
sting.
him.
They're
Yeah.
going to arrest him.
yeah,
Yeah, and but we never hear from her again.
no,
She's
no.
never interacted with ever again, even though she was gonna marry the con man and was being used as a stinger operation for the police. We never even fucking hear from her after that scene.
No. No.
Like it's never like, oh yeah, and you really hurt Brenda. It doesn't
Yeah.
fucking matter.
Like you can assume her parents are going to kick her out again.
Yeah.
She's going to be alone again. Christ, she might even have to have another abortion. We don't
Yeah.
know. We know they've
Ev-
been sleeping together because of the multiple and weird.
Yeah,
sex
even
scenes.
at the end of the film where he's talking about all the ramifications, she's never even fucking brought up then. It was so
No.
annoying that this character, who was pretty important to the plot and was pinnacle on him getting caught, never mentioned again.
yeah,
And I think in his mind and the way it's projected in the film, even if on reflection he fucking sucks, is she's betrayed him
Yeah,
because he wants to take her with him and use his money for to still be with her, and he tells her his real name and everything, and she then tells the cops everything and agrees to a sting mission.
yeah, but also
Probably under duress.
he
but-
also clearly doesn't love. Well, I mean, why would she trust him?
Yeah.
Why would she?
at this
Like,
point,
it
everything
makes-
she knew about him has just been thrown out the window, literally.
And
like-
he's not even mentioned the fact that he's 19 at this point.
No.
Yeah, he wasn't a doctor when she met him. He wasn't a pilot. He doesn't have a law degree. Why would she go? Oh, yeah, no, but I love him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
She loved him
Oh yeah,
under
no,
the
no.
pretense.
I think she's well within her rights to not want anything to do with him
100%.
and to want to bring him in.
it more proves that he just didn't care about her, because if he actually
Yeah.
cared about her, he would have gone up to her and been like, "Hey, yeah, arrest me."
but instead he decides to go back to the old pilot trick, recruits a bunch of girls from a school to be stewardesses, and
Yeah.
uses that to get past all the airport stuff because he knows that everyone will be too distracted by looking at girls and not at him.
Yeah, that bit. This was weird. This was the most holy. I mean, this is an Edam cheese plot at the best of times, but it's particularly holy at this point because it's well, where does he get the uniforms? How does he get all of this stuff arranged and signed off?
Yeah,
Yeah,
In that short period
it's
of time. so
it's
that he can
literally
get
within
out
a
of the
day.
Yeah,
And then he's
It's how
given
is
someone
that
else.
Yeah.
I suppose he's just got the money. He's goes to the dry cleaners or whatever. Says he's there to pick shit up. I don't know. But he even gets
Yeah,
a uniform
he-
and gives it to some random guy and pays him to sit in the car that he owns in the airport
That
so
scene
that
I
everyone's
love.
distracted. Yeah, where they're like, "Oh, he's there," but he's not.
yeah. Well, he's
So
just walked
yeah,
past
because
him.
we've just seen him walk past the other way with the girls, but they're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, we've just spotted him, and then there's who are you here to pick up? And it's Havanai.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
That bit was mwah. I really
Mm.
enjoyed that
It-
cat and mouse bit.
It's kind of a throwback to the beginning of the film where the first pilot he sees gets out of the car and with a load of air hostesses
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
has arm candy.
And
Ugh.
there's the immediate even little children are like, are you a pilot? Oh no,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
a real airline pilot.
But it's that thing. It's that thing of yeah, they did just hire air hostesses because they were cute and fucking
Yeah. So at this
bizarre.
point, he's gone, but he starts traveling the world because he's got the money. And so they
Yeah.
lose him for months, but then they realise that he's slowly going in a circle because he has to go back to where he started from because he's running out of checks.
Yeah, he's running out of places.
Yeah. And then they remember, oh wait, his mum is French. Maybe he'll probably go to the town
Okay.
that she's from.
To that town they met.
And there's like a certain press plant that they're looking for as well because they know that's the only thing that's where he'll be able to print more checks.
Well, they
Yeah.
take one of the checks to like other specialists, and the specialists are like, oh yeah, the only place they print there is like Germany, the UK, and France.
Yeah.
And they're like, France?
And at that point,
What?
I realised that he got arrested in France and the prison he was in at the beginning was French.
Yeah. But yeah, he's kind of losing it now. He's kind of stressed and printing out just every check in the world.
Yeah. And Hanratty walks in and he's just like, look, there's a load of French police out there. Like, if you try and go out there without me, they'll just shoot you.
Yeah, and he's like, is that true?
Yeah.
And guess what? It was a lie. The con man can't.
He did, except the police then do show up, and then he's arrested by the real Frank Abagnale.
Oh, is that
Because
is
that's
that
his
a
cameo in the
cameo?
movie. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they got the officer that arrests him is the real guy.
Wow.
So, yeah, he gets arrested, but then he's taken by French police, and then he essentially has to work for a couple of years to get him extradited back to the US.
Yeah. At which point, like, they're on the plane.
Yeah.
And
He
he gets the news that his dad passed away.
fell down the stairs going for a train, broke his neck.
Yeah. Which felt really weird.
Yeah.
As
I
just, like,
suppose
a
it must
kind
be
of-
the kind of one of those ones where it's like the truth, unless his
Yeah.
dad died of like a drug overdose or maybe killed himself. And
Yeah.
like Abagnale didn't want that in the film,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and this was like the most nobody's fault, but not like
Yeah.
Yeah.
not horrible, not like taking the Mickey out of other unfortunate things that can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But
then
it could be the truth as well. I don't know.
yeah. And then he has the fight, like he has a breakdown, goes into the bathroom, and then has a last ditch attempt at escaping because he manages to
Yeah.
climb through the toilet and out of the landing gear. I don't know how planes work. That's probably fine.
Well,
then
he undoes
he-
the bathroom and climbs inside the airplane. Is essentially what happened.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, he learns that his mum is married to another guy.
Yeah.
So he
And
runs
he
there and he
runs-
sees like there's a little girl
The-
there and is like that's
that
his
running
sister.
is so funny because it's like he just starts. He climbs out of like the wheel of the plane as it comes down. Which again, I don't think that's how that works.
I've seen
and
Toy
then just
Story 2.
starts-
That's how it works.
But then he just starts running like away from the plane, and the FBI in the plane like, damn, he's getting away. But it cuts from him running away from the plane to him running towards the house at night, and
Yeah.
it looks like he just never stopped running. He just ran the entire night to get
He
there.
was just running and hiding, trying to evade airport security.
No, it
Well, I
looks-
guess you could argue at this point. I don't know why I'm defending this film at every single point, but I feel
No, but it's
I don't know.
it's one that's worth having these conversations about instead
Yeah.
of
Like,
the
it
ants
is-
do
it-
this by accident.
this happens at Christmas, so obviously it's going to be skeleton staff.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
maybe that's how he gets a bit further and a bit
Oh.
further. And
I just meant it looked like it looked like he literally didn't stop running until he got there.
yeah,
Like it was, the way it cut was like, oh yeah, he's running away and now he's running towards the house. Oh, I guess
Yeah.
he was just running the entire time, and how he worked out where she lived, I don't know.
yeah. But yeah, when he sees that his mum is married to another guy with another daughter, that's kind of it for him, and he's like, I don't want to do this anymore. Just take me in. It's
It's
fine.
like, damn, that sucks.
And then about a year or so later, Tom Hanks starts visiting him in jail, and I do like this how it's like, oh, I'm doing this fraud case, like, you know, this is the check,
Yeah.
and immediately he's just like, this is what's wrong with it. This is how you can tell that it's a bank teller doing it, and this and this and this, and it's like, cool, maybe this guy will be useful to us.
Again, that felt very like, I'm a cool con man guy.
Oh
and
yeah,
I
but he
it
did genuinely
just
end up
by
working
glancing.
for the FBI on this shit.
Yeah,
So
but it was. I don't think it was just like, well, I just glanced at it and I knew.
no, yeah.
A lot of this film. Now I know that like he was involved in like making it and making it realer. It really does feel like someone that went, I'm super cool and I do all of the cool things,
Yeah.
and I know exactly how it's faked by glancing at it. Like, okay, dude.
Yeah, I mean, having had the briefest read through of his Wikipedia page, because thorough research only on Hey, I love that movie.
Yeah. We barely remember characters.
He was full of shit.
Yeah.
A lot of what happens, like he's also been arrested a shit ton of times and like caught quite often.
Yeah.
Which
Catch
makes
Me If You Can
way
turns
more
out
sense.
quite fucking easy. But that's something you learn about. Like a lot of famous con artists and con men got caught a lot. It was just like police incompetence
Yeah.
meant that they kept getting. It had nothing to do with their skill. They were just like luckily caught by an incompetent police officer that let them go. Like that comes up. That's like a very common story.
It's also like there's just no record of all the things he claims, the big stuff that makes it into the film that he claims he did.
Yeah.
Like there's just no records of it, and
Yeah.
most of journalists that have like investigated it are like, yeah, that's 99% sure that it is bollocks.
None of this is true. So yeah, the feeling of like I'm a cool guy that did cool things. Look at how cool I am. But yeah, he gets hired by the FBI.
Yeah, I do like how all of the FBI agents are just looking like, why the fuck is this guy?
This motherfucker that did nothing but lie about his crimes.
Yeah,
Again, but that was also another moment of like, look at how cool I am.
yeah, and
And,
then
like,
he has a last attempt to run away, and then he's like,
He doesn't.
And Tom Hanks is like, you'll be back. No one's chasing you. You don't have the thrill of it. Like,
Yeah.
no one cares that you're going right now, so you'll be back. And he is.
Yeah. But also, it's not necessarily just the thrill. It's like you literally can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
You have run out of options. You go anywhere in America, you get arrested. You go international, you'll get arrested. There is nowhere you can go.
Yeah, there's nowhere.
It's not like no one's chasing you. It's like you have nowhere to go. You either stay here or you go to prison.
Yeah.
And then it kind of does the whole wraps it
I'm
up
super cool.
with some nice writing, and it's like, yep, this guy, he's been married for this long, he's doing whatever, he works for the FBI designing secure checks and shit like that. It's like, cool, like
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think this is a great film, and I think it is 100% fiction, and it's a great story.
Yeah.
I think inspired by
yeah,
is probably the best,
In
the most like, and it's much more enjoyable as a film if you don't try and think of it as real.
yeah,
as well.
don't buy into it too much. Yeah,
inspired by what that guy says.
yeah,
It's not like inspired by a true story. It's inspired by what that guy says happened.
yeah. This
It's
guy who did a
almost-
bunch of fraud, and they're like, how can he look cool?
Yeah.
It's almost Coen Brothers Fargo kind of thing, where it's
Yeah.
like they've added the based on a true story bit as a laugh.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
as part of the story to give it that tone,
yeah.
even though it is all made up, because you can say it's a film, you can say whatever you want.
Yeah.
People are like, what, the film lied to me?
What?
It's like, yeah, it's
The
a
film
story.
about the con man lied isn't real.
And then he was like, but why would he lie about this stuff? It's like,
To make himself look cool.
yeah,
That's
because he's a
it.
narcissist. Because
Like,
he's an
the
awful person.
Entire film is just him making him look like a cool, good guy.
And
Well, I
I think
guess
that
it
one
fooled
thing that
me.
is quite interesting is there's like quite a few quotes where he genuinely, but it's almost like he believes his own bullshit. But he
Yeah.
also is like, oh, the only person I ever swindled was the prostitute with the 400 quid over the check thing.
No?
And then, like, quite nicely, to give credit to whoever wrote this article, they followed that immediately with like victim statements.
Yep. Good. Yeah, no, he definitely is like, I'm a cool... He definitely believes... You just have to watch this film to be like, he genuinely believes he's such a cool, good guy.
Yeah,
Who
like
never
I see
actually
entirely
did
what you
anything
mean
wrong?
by this is just his point of view of it, and any victims are just forgotten about.
Yeah, it's a very like wanky film. Like it's very much a like.
And that's why I like it, because it's, and I like to just ignore the fact that it's based on this real dude.
Yeah,
and also it's a bit icky that this real. I mean, this guy, he's a con artist. I 100% buy into the fact that Frank Abagnale's a con artist.
Yeah,
yes,
like in
100%.
real life.
He fucking apparently.
But, yeah, I don't believe a fucking word he's ever said ever.
Yeah.
And it's weird. I do find it's a shame almost that he's in the film and he's involved in it. It would have been. It's giving like that.
This is a good.
What's that girl?
Story.
Anna Delvey.
Yeah.
Like the fact that she's got like this Netflix series and it's like, okay, like I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
It's more. I think it's more fun that it's made up and it's got big heist energy. It's got
also,
like tricksy energy.
If it was fully fictional, they could have looked into the impact on the victims more and the people he left behind more, and like filled it out as a story in a world.
He could have had a little bit more emotional development.
Yeah.
I think, if they didn't have to like protect, like, because this guy, I mean, he's living the con, but also like he must be in denial.
Yeah.
So they can't have him like crack and have this like emotional breakdown where he realizes that he's ruining lives, or have any remorse.
Yeah. Even when you find out his dad dies, he isn't like. There's no real catharsis in it. He just kind of moves on and escapes.
Yeah. Because that's how he's been used to dealing with shit, I guess.
Yeah. Whereas, like, if the film was more close to his actual life, where he swindled his dad and he was a bad person, and it had that arc of him learning, like, actually, with my dad dead and, like, his mum moved on and he has no family left, that he's, like, his life of conning and stealing shit has left him very lonely.
Yeah.
Like, him learning that lesson that, like, actually him going down this route is incredibly lonely, and he had to leave the woman he fell in love with, but it doesn't do that, because
it could have had real King of Comedy vibes.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I'm glad it didn't, because I really like this film. And it's fun to suspend that disbelief and have this kid fucking over the FBI and this cat and mouse thing that goes on for ages, and he's just so smooth and he's so clever.
Yeah, as a movie, it's very fun. I've just realised a very good comparison of this is The Greatest Showman. Really nice, fun movie, but P.T. Barnum was a cunt, so...
It would have been like The Greatest Showman if B.T. Barnum was involved in making The Greatest Showman.
I think if P.T. Barnum saw a video camera, he would have a heart attack.
Yeah. He'd want to hit it. This film is a really good film until you start thinking about the
actual real life consequences of it. But as a film, what would you rate it? And how well is it held up to your memory of it, Helena?
I had a great time watching it, and it flew by, if you'll pardon the pun. And what I appreciated more this time round was the set and setting, and also the music.
Yeah, the music's really
so good. The little clarinet sort of motif that's played on it, that's so sneaky. Whenever like it's essentially the da-da-da-da-da that you get in Midsummer Murders. Like whenever before he gets caught, there's always the little clarinet going. Do-do-do-do-do-do. I think I'd give this 8 toy aeroplane stickers out of 10. Because that's one of my favourite scenes as well, is where he has the first one in the bath, soaking off the sticker, and then it just fades to like there being like 100 of these in the bath. Yeah, he's just got
shitloads of them.
This film makes me feel clever in a silly way. Like it's one of those films where you're like, oh yeah, I get it, and it's like, oh, I could do that.
Yeah,
yeah. You're like, oh, that would have been quite easy to get away with stuff back then.
Yeah.
Whereas now, like, they'd look up, like, oh yeah, it's clearly a sticker from a plane. Well, we just look up who's bought a load of Wed sells those planes.
I mean, I'm pretty sure my bank won't even give me a checkbook now.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Just like, no, why are you still using checks? Are you old?
Yeah, but literally, like any small thing would have been. It would have been like, oh, these are clearly stickers from a toy plane. Who sells that toy plane? Where's the closest one to where these checks were charged? Who's buying a lot of them?
Yeah, it's going in and asking them, oh, have you got
Yeah.
CCTV?
Yeah, it'd be like, who bought a lot of them? It's like, when did they all sell? Like that day. All right then. It's just impossible to do this kind of con. But
Yeah, plus
also, like,
instantly sus if anyone pays for any large amount of something in cash these days.
like a modern Catch Me If You Can, where he's just like on emailing people. Hi, I am a prince, and I just watched that film.
Catch Me If You Can, but it's a Nigerian prince.
Yeah.
I just need you to send me $10,000.
Oh, by the end of it, he actually really believes he is a Nigerian prince.
Yeah, it's just the Nigerian prince scam. And at no point did he realize that it's a scam and he doesn't have to pretend to be. It's really offensive near the end of the film.
Oh no.
Yeah. I don't know. I think a 5.5.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's a really well made film, but all those little things are, it's like I understand that this is set in a time period where, well, at a time when women were essentially seen as professional secretaries. That was it. They were treated kind of shitty in the workforce, and they weren't allowed to do anything. However, they were still people, and they still had more than one emotion, which is being in love with Leonardo DiCaprio's character.
Yeah.
They still had thought processes and lives.
Cognitive ability?
Yeah, an autonomy. And it's really frustrating that every single woman in this film has no autonomy. And the one that does just wants money and isn't interesting in the slightest. And and since we've been talking about it, it's all the oh, I'm really cool.
Yeah.
When we jerk off over myself in this film for an hour, for 2.5 hours. But it is a really well made film, which is why it gets the
I love heist and con movies. It's one of my favorite genres, so it's always going to be a high scorer for me. We've never done my one of my favorite films that isn't The Black Cauldron.
Is it The Italian Job?
No, it's Paper Moon.
I was going to say, could we guess? Could we try and guess
sorry.
which con heist movie? Yeah.
Paper Moon's great.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a
that
really
at
well
some
made film. It is a really exciting.
Yeah.
I would actually be genuinely upset though if you guys watched it and didn't like it.
That's what
Oh, it's that good.
Yeah.
That kind of movie.
Black Cauldron again.
No, it's good. It's a good film. It's
Yeah,
highly
you
thought
said that
of.
about Black Cauldron. Look
No,
what happened
I know
there.
that The Black Cauldron is not highly thought of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very quickly forgotten about.
Yeah, it's not thought about.
Speaking of not thinking about the Black Cauldron, I'm going to give this I'm going to give this a score just as a film rather than I know we've talked about the real guy and all that kind of thing, but I think as a movie I would also give it an 8 just for the fun of it and the tension of him constantly being on the trail and how he's finding the clues to catch him and how he's kind of going through making all the fake checks and shit like that. It's an enjoyable movie, but obviously it's not one where you're what, I'm in the mood to watch Catch Me If You Can. But I think if this was on ITV2 again, as it probably is several times,
I was
I'd
going
be
to say
like,
this
oh, yeah.
and The Terminal I feel were on film 4 for at least a month at some point when I was
Yeah.
on the summer holidays or something, and I saw both films quite a lot.
Do you know what?
Because I can quote quite a lot of The Terminal.
Do you know why that is? They put this film on so much? Because it's
Is it
2.5
cheap?
fucking hours. If they put adverts in, it would be an 8-hour film.
Yeah. They're sorted. They don't have to worry about the rest of the day.
They fill out
So-
an entire afternoon block with Catch Me If You Can.
We need 3 hours. What do we do? Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, just for the record, I think we've already stated it enough, but 8 out of 10 for Catch Me If You Can. Definitely 0 out of 10 for Frank Abagnale, the person.
Yeah, for real person, no.
Like, if I
not
could
good,
give
but
him, if we could give him less credit, that would be great.
yeah,
Yes, if this film
for
wasn't
movie
based
and
on him
entertainment purposes. So
if this film wasn't based on him as much as it was, that'd be great. And just make another movie that is this plot, but without all of the Abagnale shit.
Yeah,
be great.
like I said, just lie. You can just say it's based on a real story, and it isn't.
It doesn't you don't even have to do that. People watch fictional films all the time.
What?
And most Marvel didn't happen.
The
Iron
aliens
Man
in New
isn't
York.
a real thing. Imagine if Iron Man finished and was like based on a true story. You'd be like, the fuck? I want that now. I want a really, really surreal film to end with based on a true story. And like, when did what?
So Paper Moon's 90% critics and 94% audience rating on.
Okay.
Okay, we'll do
I'll
Paper
watch
Moon
it.
soon.
At some point.
Yes, and with that, I've been Dan.
I've been Michael.
And I've been Helena.
You can find this podcast all around the world, but don't try and cash our checks. We're on social media at Hilton Pod. That's at HALTM Pod. We're on Discord if you want to come and chat to us. Like, let us know. I was going to say, let us know how would you commit check fraud.
Yeah, how much would you commit
Yeah.
Yeah,
financial fraud?
yeah. Let us know.
Let us know.
You can also sign up to our Patreon,
Yeah.
where we commit financial fraud. No,
Yeah, we're just gonna do crimes.
yeah.
We're gonna
We've the last 2 episodes that we've recorded for the Patreon are crimes. To be fair,
Yeah. We are
they
number
went
one,
off the rails.
we're gonna become pilots. But not like we're gonna pretend to become pilots. And again, very stressful job. We're gonna have a bad because we're gonna go from pilots, we're gonna pretend to be pilots, con our way into being pilots. Then we're gonna con our way to being into doctors. Now we have to go to the NHS
They do background checks now.
to do.
I already
Yeah,
work for the NHS. This could be a
Oh,
problem.
that's an easy in. We're fine.
Yeah, you get you're our way
They might
into the
notice if I'm
NHS.
like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm a doctor, and they'll be like, no, you're not.
We're gonna be.
we know
we
you.
just have to work out a way. We just have to work out a way. We're gonna be very stressed out as NHS workers.
We'll take a doctorate, but just not in doctorate.
Yeah, we're gonna have to strike. It's gonna be terrible.
Yeah.
It's gonna be awful.
Yeah,
We're
we'll
gonna
do
lose.
it
About
we'll do
doing
it in
a
a union.
doctorate.
It's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm already in a union.
Yeah.
So confusing. It's like I conned my way into a doctor, and now I'm part of like 3 unions, and now I'm striking.
Oh, you think that's bad? I'm somehow a pilot now.
Yeah, I'm also a
I need help, and I hope one of you is a lawyer.
Yeah, then we have to be lawyers.
Honestly,
so
I
that's
think
just...
the biggest con is that we've managed to convince people that we're podcasters. Hello and welcome to Hey, I Love That Movie. I'm Helena, and today
I'm
we're
recording.
not joined by Mikey. It's just me. I am the podcast.
Like, this is my podcast now.
At least I don't have
I
to
am the
the audio
podcast
sync
now.
if there's only one person.
It's true.
Nah, it's okay. I can keep pace with myself and synchronized.
Just talk in like staccato.
This is very listenable.
I'm looking up straight movies now. I'm trying to think of like the straightest movie.
Most heterosexual.
We've already watched American Pie.
I would say American Pie because
No,
there is
no.
a very
The
little
correct
big
answer is
characters in it.
"Dude, where's my car?"
To be no, yeah, no, do where's my car's a bit homoerotic.
There's
Like
a film called Heterosexuals.
American Pie. One of them drinks, another one's a cum. So
Oh yeah, that's
Oh
pretty
yeah,
good.
yeah,
I mean, most of the like shit Bonds.
yeah.
Yeah.
Big Lebowski,
There's a film called Heterosexual Jill.
Die Hard,
Die Hard's pretty straight. I guess.
Godfather. The Godfather's probably the straightest films.
Yeah, I've never seen
That's
it
the
actually.
straightest film franchise. There's very little gay in that, and it's
Oh,
upsetting.
apparently, so there's a thread on this on Reddit, of course.
Yeah, no, I'm looking through 'em.
Yeah, The Big Lebowski. 51st Dates, pretty straight.
Pretty straight. No, Fight Club is remarkably homoerotic.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings.
I mean,
It's too
No.
camp. It's too. It's too camp.
It's just a bunch of guys going on a walk. It's fine.
Yeah.
yeah,
There's
a bunch of guys.
guys hiking together. Could you think of anything gayer?
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
no.
I think The Godfather is right, mainly because that's a movie where
Nah.
a straight person will talk to you as much as they can about The Godfather. So.
What's that film with that guy? The one about the wedding, the divorced couple. Adam Driver's in it.
Oh, Marriage Story or whatever it's called.
Yeah, that's straight.
Yeah, that's probably the straight. I've not seen that because it just looked like absolute shit.
Yeah. It's like a couple kind of shouting at each other for a
Yeah.
while. Yeah, that seems like remarkably and boringly straight.
Yeah.
Every movie needs a bit of gay.